Everyone, I figured I'd make an updated video of my controller here to show how it functions when it's actually installed in the truck. First, a little bit on my old system. My old system used to be that series of valve or switches there. I had a switch to turn on power to the others, one switch to control my supply valve, and my third switch to control my return valve. I revamped that a little bit and added a timer for my return, so this switch then got changed to heaters. I also had a gauge here that read out my temperature, but that system was pretty crude. It didn't work the greatest, and so I thought I could do something better. And that's what I have here. So now I'll start the truck and show you how this thing functions. So here it's reading the oil temperature, and that switch light just came on because I have my temp set point set to 175 degrees currently. So once my temperature surpasses that set point, I'll then be able to switch over to vegetable oil. Right now it says diesel fuel because it's running on diesel fuel. I'll show you the settings here, what I've got going on. So there's three settings that I can change. The first one is purge time. That is the amount of time in seconds that my purge process runs. And the purge process is when the supply valve closes. So I say I'm running on vegetable oil, all my valves are open, my fuel supply and my return valve are both open, but when I want to switch back to diesel, my supply valve will close, but my return valve will stay open. This is so that the engine begins to run on diesel fuel, but it's returning that diesel fuel to the vegetable oil tank. That way no vegetable oil gets to the diesel tank. So I can change this purge time up or down, and a good time that I've found for my system is about 45 seconds. So I've got it at that. Now I can go back to the settings window and I can change my temperature set point, and that's that 175 degrees Fahrenheit. I can set that to whatever I want within reason. Say I set it to 200 degrees and I go back to my home screen. Now my switch button is gone. I can't switch to vegetable oil, and that's because the actual temperature is lower than my set point. But if I go back in and change that set point back to a reasonable value, I usually have it at 150. Once my temperature is above 150, it will then be able to switch over to vegetable oil. The last setting in there is brightness, and I can just adjust the brightness of the screen with that setting. All of these settings do save, so as soon as I hit the home button, it will return to the home screen, and if I rebooted this controller, those settings would be where I left them the last time I hit the home button. Now, since we're up to temp, I can hit the switch button here, and it will switch to vegetable oil. So there, it just switched to oil, and we would be running on vegetable oil. Now say I get to my location and I want to purge, I can hit the purge button. And for sake of speeding up the process here, I will change that purge time to a shorter amount, and I'll run the purge. Now it says purging, so it's purging the system, and the counter shows, and it will show that counter until we're back onto diesel mode. So right now, my supply valve is closed, but my return valve is still open, which means that I'm returning diesel fuel to the oil tank. And then what's controlling those valves, there's some circuitry up here. These three chips are MOSFETs. They're similar to relays. They're basically acting as a switch. I have these that are controlling relays under the hood, and those relays are what's controlling my valves themselves and the vegetable pump. That's just a buzzer that makes tones, and then this blue chip here is reading thermocouple, and that's a thermocouple in my exhaust, which I don't have running right now. So now you can see we're back to diesel. Now this other button here that says manual, this is an auto manual mode. If I push this button, it will switch to auto mode, and since my temperature is above the temperature set point, it will automatically switch to vegetable oil as soon as that temperature is reached. So if I hit manual, it switches to auto and it immediately switches. Now if my temperature for whatever reason were to fall below my temperature set point, it would purge automatically. So I can simulate that here by changing my temp set point to something above the current temp, and as soon as I hit home, it's now running another purge because the temperature is below what I have it set to. So that's my controller, that's the basic setup. Thanks for watching.